Good morning, everyone. This is Freedom. I'm going to put out a video this morning on how I process my raw images from my Nikon photography. But first, I want to apologize to everyone that follows me on my bike videos. I've been off the bike for a while. I'm dealing with family matters. I'll soon be back on the bike. I may have a new bike soon for summertime, which I'll do an open box, and it will be a Sava. So apologies to everyone that follows me. Taking care of family matters has kept me off the bike, but I found time to get back into my photography. And in the YouTube world lately, I've noticed a lot of people talk on YouTube on the NX Studio. I think it's been out for about a year. These are the focus points. It's a pretty nice software. I was aware of it, but I was too lazy to use it. I have been using it for about 2 or 3 months, as opposed to the Capture NXD. I've been using this for probably close to 10 years before anything else. And before I used this, I used anything that I can get my hands on. I am not familiar with Lightroom. I am not familiar with Photoshop. I've been doing photography since I was 13 years old, film obviously, and with the digital cameras, any little program that I got my hands on to process raw images, that's what I used until I came across Capture NXD by Nikon. And of course, I use Affinity. I use Affinity Photo, which is an awesome program. It's an awesome raw developer. It's very fast. Live processing, yet the movements, everything that you do on this is real time. It's an awesome program. I love it. But for Nikon photography, there's nothing better than the actual software for Nikon, which is Capture NXD from me. And I'm going to process this image. I'm going to show everyone how I do this. Nikon users, again, I am not familiar with Lightroom, and I don't really want to pay software to use for photography when this is free. This is free. And what I paid for Affinity Designer and what I paid for Affinity Photo, under $100, believe it or not. $24.99 for Affinity Photo, and I believe $34 or $24 on a promotion. I got the Affinity Designer, and the rest of the programs that I'm going to use are still free. So I'm going to show you how to process these raw files with Capture NXD, which I believe is the best software, even better than the NX Studio. Few reasons why I will say and mention. You have more flexibility. This software gives you more adjustment ability than the NX Studio. Right off the top, to mention, these programs for Nikon will take your raw image and finalize it, tune it in, get rid of all the chromatic aberrations. It will get rid of the defringement for you as soon as you load it up. Everything else that you do with the software is fine-tuning, from noise, contrast, saturation, everything. And that's why primarily I use this before I fine-tune my photos with Affinity Photo. And Affinity Photo is a good raw developer. It's also a good software for what people would say create magic, alter images, create images. It's awesome for that too. So I'm going to show you how I use the two and get my images to basically, let me see if I have some images here, to get my images to look like this. This is all Affinity and Capture NXT processed. So I use these two programs, but first I take my images through Capture NXT, which is Nikon software, and then I fine-tune it with Affinity Photo. And it's pretty good. I do pretty good with it. I like it. Lots of details. I use the Nikon, the D500 and the 72. I also use the 5300 for any of these images. So I process my images first, and I want to show how I do this and how I get what I think is our best results for these images. And most of these images that I'm showing right here are cropped, but good detail in them, good colors. Focus point is right here on this little one. I'll show you the focus points on the software. Anybody that's familiar with these softwares, you can get the focus point. So let me show you this. I chose this image because I really do like it. And one of the first things that I do to my images when I load them up, I know the image is a good looking image. I go for detail. I want to see how much detail I can get from the images. So I go right here to Unsharp Mask. And my first slider over here is intensity. I usually bring this up because I'm familiar with all my images. I bring it up to 90 or 100 depending on the image. And I'm not afraid, I'm not worried about destroying these images. If I go too far with them, all I do is go back on the setting and bring it back to the beginning. And you reset everything by choosing this back arrow right here. Again, you have all the controls here for Nikon, everything here. It's the layout is a bit different than the NX Studio it's got a lot of popularity in the YouTube world right now, but I have everything here. I have it in Capture NXT plus more. So let me process this image, go back to bring it up to 90. I'm going to bring the intensity up to 90. And over here you can start exposure compensation, white balance, picture control, tone detail, and then you have here levels and curves. We're in Unsharp Mask. This is straightening, perspective control, which I don't need to use it. This is the best chroma control for color, and you have color lightness, master lightness, and hue, which I'm not going to use this. I don't need to. Over here you have camera lens and corrections, where I don't need to. You can correct here. Axial color aberration, lateral color aberration. Diffringement automatically is done by the software, virtually clear of any diffringement this image. You have noise reduction, sharpness, edge, which I will apply the edge noise reduction to this. This is astro noise resolution. I use this for my astrophotography. The intensity is already luminance intensity for the noise for this image has already been set by the software at 50, and the color intensity again at 50, 50, 50 by default. I could increase this or decrease it. I have it set for better quality 2013. There's better quality and there's faster. The difference between these is the amount of adjustments that the method will give you. I always like to keep it on 2013, better quality 2013. I have more control of noise levels, both for sharpness, color, sharpness intensity, luminance intensity, and I'm doing pretty good right now with this image. Of course, the better the image comes from the camera, the better the processing it's going to be, and always the best focus that you have on the camera is going to make the image, of course, the best to work with. By the way, the focus point here is right here on my focus points right here. Also, a lot of talk in the YouTube world with this little right here, this color selector, which is awesome. I love it. It's awesome. You can see how it works. You can reduce the brightness down, say right here. Maybe somebody would say this is a bit overwashed. I would move it here and set my slider to this fella's head and reduce the brightness down, and the brightness will be controlled to there, and the brightness will come down, and there it is. And that's how that works, and it's awesome. I love it. If you want to undo this, you could check this here, or check it, and you can come over here, and your color control points, you can remove them as you please and put them back in to see your work, and you can go back and undo everything, and everything will come back to normal. But just to show you that Capture NXT has the adjust color and brightness of the selected area, which is the same color control. I don't need to use it for this image, but it's here just the same. Works just the same. And I believe that people that use this software or don't care to use it don't realize the full potential of these programs for Nikon photography, and they're just as good, if not better, than Lightroom, and it's free. It's free software. You don't have to pay for this. You have control of everything here, exactly as you do with the Lightroom and with the NX Studio. The exact same features. You could take the white balance, you could take the blue, you could take the brightness, the red, the green, you could take it down. And if you choose not to use it, or you don't need to use it, you don't have to. So, I can exit out of here, and I can go back to my general side menu here for everything. Another thing, this is more practical. You can get rid of this here, gives you more room. You can get rid of this, gives you a lot more room. So yes, I will look into how to eliminate this from here, which I can exit out of it. But I've been using this software for almost 10 years. There's nothing wrong with it. I just keep updating it and it works for me. So what we did was we brought the intensity to 90. If you look down here to this bottom right hand corner, every time you make an adjustment, you'll see like the working gear here until it's done. It's a little bit slow. Capture NXD, it's a bit slow. It's not a very smooth responding as Affinity Photo, not at all, nothing like it. So you have to give it a few seconds to work, but it will respond. It does a good job. Let's look at brightness here. Look down here, and there's my working wheel, and I just brought the brightness up just to show you it's not an instant move like you would Affinity Photo and Lightroom and other programs that are out there, but it does work. And I brought my brightness up on this animal to 12 to bring in some of the feathering detail here. And that's really what I want. First of all, out of all my images, is I want the details, as much detail as I could on the image, so I could move on and finalize the image with Affinity Photo, which is my go-to software for nighttime and daytime photos. For my nature photography, I always start off with my Capture NXD. So I'm going to go over here to my RGB curves, and I'm going to check to see how I can work with this image and what I can do with it that's going to be satisfying to me. And all I'm doing right here, I'm setting this image up for Affinity Photo, so I am familiar with this. I do practice with this, so I know how far to go with these settings here because I'm taking it to another software. So I am familiar with that, yes. I use these, but I really have no need to. This is to reset what I've done. This is to input, to reset the individual. If I were to choose green and move it, I reset it instead of resetting the whole entire curve window. This right here is the auto control, which that's what the software is telling me this is what the image should look like. So if I were to go over here and bring back the brightness to 0 default, this is what the software in the curved windows, this is what the software brought it to. I'm assuming the software is thinking this is the best colors for this animal according to camera settings and according to everything, but it's too bright here for me. I don't like it. I like it a little bit darker. I like to leave myself with some room so I can motivate this image with my other Affinity software. So I just reset it right here. And then if I were to go back to brightness and bring it up to 22, even at 22, I had it at 12 before, it's at 22 now, I'm still good here, my satisfaction. This is not overblown, and I like this actually, so I'm going to leave it at 22. So I'm not really going to do contrast here, saturation. I'm not going to do it because I'm going to do something else with Affinity Photo. I'll show you. My this little thing up here that everybody uses and uses as a guide for colors and everything. I really don't look at this too much, but pretty much this image is set up pretty nice. I could take a little blue out of it, but I don't want to. I need the blue in it. And that's pretty much what I'm going to do with this software. The next thing that I'm going to do with this software, I'm sorry, I forgot one movement here in my picture control. I'm going to scroll down here to Sharpening. See this notch right here? It's outstanding. Well, according to the program, the Sharpening, the program set it by default at -3. I'm going to bring it up to this notch right here, which is 2. I pass this notch right here, and I'm overdoing it. The notch here again for mid-range sharpening, it's set at 0, but the software is telling me that I shouldn't go past 1. That's why the outstanding notch is here. And in clarity, the notch is set at 0.50. Again, the software is telling me in these 3 should not go past that, and I don't. So I look at my image and I see what I got. And so far, I am good. There is nothing wrong with this image. This guy's eyeball is looking really nice and sharp and clear. Good feathering, good everything. So pretty much I set up this image to take it to Affinity Photo. There's nothing else that I want to do with this image here. Active D-lighting, shadow protection. I don't really want to do anything here because the image doesn't need it, and my eye is telling me that I don't have to do it. I like the image as it is. And in my camera, active D-lighting is turned off. Saturation, contrast, brightness, highlight protection, shadow protection, and D-lighting, HS. So this is what happens if I were to move my D-lighter, HS. That's what would happen. I don't need to work with this. I'm good here. The shadow protection, look at the shadows, look at the dark areas, and this is what would happen. I'll bring it up to 50, and it brings up the dark areas. Again, I don't need it. My image is good. I want to work with how it was, just to show you. My focus point is here. By shadow protection, cuts back on the shadows in the images. I don't need to do that. So bring it back to 0. I like that. And highlight protection will reduce the clarity here and here by a certain percentage, which I don't need it. You can see the gear working here. When it's done, it's almost nothing. You can't tell. Let's look at this again. Bring it back to normal. I'll go up here to compare before and after image. Compare and after before image. And this is my after, this is my before. So we're going to look at this, and then we're going to see the results here. Highlight protection, bring it all the way up to 100. It changed already. You can see almost nothing. It brought down the clarity in the animal's feathering here, which is now not so dark. It's darker here than it is here. I don't need this. I don't need to use this. But this is what it did for me. It brought down the brightness here in this area. You can tell right here. I don't really need that. Let's look at this. Should bring it back. Like I say, these programs are not as fast as your Lightroom. They're not as fast as the Affinity. It takes a few seconds, the response time, but to me it's worth it. It's free software, but it works, and that's what I like. It works. So let me get out of here. Go back to single view. Capture NXD has a lot of tools to work with. A lot of tools to work with. And this is the best software for Nikon photography, raw developer. You can develop JPEGs from any system with this software, but you're going to be very limited to the controls. This is meant for Nikon software all the way. So nothing much I'm going to do to this image. I would like to use all these to show you, but I'm not. I'm going to save this image, send it to, and finish the image with, I have it set for 150 DPI, 100 excellent quality, JPEG. You have TIFF, 8 and 16-bit. And a lot of people want to save this in so many of the different formats, and this is one of the other downfalls, other than being a little bit slow. It doesn't give you the ability to save anything other than JPEG or TIFF files, 8 or 16-bit. But that's fine with me. I don't live in the world where I need to format to anything else, and I'll explain and show you why. Let me send this image over to where I'm going to work with. And this is image number 1037. There it is. So let's load this image up with Affinity Photo, and let's go to image 1037. There it is right here. Image 1037. Let's open it up and load it with Affinity Photo. And there's our image right there. There's our image right there. Here's our image right here. And that's what I'm going to finalize this image with. That's where I'm going to do mostly everything that I want to do with this image right now. I'm going to do it right here. Diffringement, chromatic aberration is super important to fine-tune your images with Nikon software. Once Nikon software develops that raw image and synchronizes the chromatic aberration, the diffringement, and other little details, you save it, and that's how you get it here. I don't have to worry about diffringement or chromatic aberration in this software. What I do here is I work with the tones, the noise, and finalize the image to get it to where I like it, which is very fast and simple. This is a fast software. It works great, and it makes images look great, and you'll see what I mean now. So for this image right here that I really actually like, this animal, the first thing that I'm going to do with it is I'm going to bring up the Vibrance, and you'll see why I want to bring up the Vibrance. Because this green glow here comes from the trees above in this lagoon type area, and it's really bright and sunny, and that's the green is from the trees. So I'm going to bring up the Vibrance. I'm going to bring in the saturation because I love these colors. Now look at the right here. Look at this right here. You see how beautiful this animal is turning into? Let me reset this. And this is why I like this program. I'm going to bring these sliders up to 37% each. And what I'm mostly interested in this image is the green glow of the water, which I love this color. I love it. It's beautiful. And it brings out the animal. And there's the animal right there. I brought up, of course, the focus point is here. So I'm a bit out of focus here. And these vines that are hanging in my way are really outstanding in the image. So right now, my Vibrance and my saturation for this image, I brought it up to 37% each. And I have it here in my window. So what else do I want to do with this? I choose the image that I'm working with, and I check my contrast and brightness to see, to my liking, what I can do with this image. And I can move the sliders in many different ways, and I can see that 21% brightness and 10% contrast is giving me a much better looking image, and this is my liking. Of course, somebody else may not like this, but I like it. And this is, I'm getting really bright colors on his feathers here. I still got detail here. Really nice looking sharp animal. Nice looking water. It's a nice image. So I'm going to keep this like this at 21. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take it to the raw developer right here. I'm in the raw developer right here. And these are my raw developing images. There's only one thing that I want to do here that I always check, is to work with this background here. I go to clarity, and over here in the raw developer for Affinity, you have these three views here: the split view, side by side view, and so I'll show you what I'm going to do now. I'm going to take the clarity up over here about half. That's 52. The brightness here, I bumped it up at the other end. I'm going to bring it 8% down, which I like. I want to keep this, I want to keep a bit of a shadow here. I want to keep this here without washing it out. The saturation here and the vibrance, I brought it up. If I want, I could bring it up a notch here, like 2 or 3%. That's 6% right there. And the vibrance, got it at 11%. So far, I still like this image. I like the colors in the animal. This image, to me, requires colors because it has colors. It's not a dull looking image. And that's pretty much what I'm going to do right there. I'm going to go to the Details tab. I'm still in the raw developer. I'm going to go to the Details tab. I'm going to click on Detail. I'm going to bring the radius up to 53. Just round it out to 53. And I'm going to do about 20% the amount. The radius is at 53. So 53% of this image I'm using to give redefine detail at 20%. And then I want to see what I've done. I'm going to go to the before and after. And there's the before and after. There's the before and there's the after. Believe it or not, it's not much, but it's making a difference. Look at the details here, here. Those are details that I want in this animal. Right here, the background. To me, this is super amazing. This is super amazing. And because I brought the detail up, yes, I got to cut back on the noise, and I'm going to do that right now. After I get it out of this and I process it, I'm going to get rid of that noise. And I'm probably going to bring up more green in here because I love this image. So this is what I do. If I want to cut back on the noise here, but I'd rather develop the image and then work with the noise here to clear up a little bit of this background right here, because I brought up the detail refinement. So what I do is I go filters, noise, filters, noise, denoise, and that kicks in by itself. It's already preset, preloaded, and there it is. I cut back on my noise and I still got detail and everything is looking good. Nice sharp eye on this animal, nice colors. And this is what we got right here. Focus on this area right here. I bumped up the detail and the refinement in the raw developer, and now I cut back a little bit on that while keeping the animal sharp looking. And I like it. So I'm going to apply it. Then after this, I'm pretty much set with this, and I like it. There's a lot of color in this animal, and this is how it was when I sent it over from the Capture NXD, and this is what it looks like now. So, and that's what I like, and that's how I process my images. I'm not done with it though. This is how I process my images using the Capture NXD Nikon software first, and then I come back to this and I do these little things to it. Excuse me. And there's pretty much nothing else that I want to do to this image. I can play around with other things to do with this, but there's really nothing else that I want to do to this image. If I want to check colors, HSL over here, I'm going to snap on the blue, and I bring the slider all the way up, and I see where all my blue is. All my blue is here, 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 here. I really don't, that's where I have all my blue. So bring this back to 0. If I actually do this, look at this area right here. It's back to 0. If I take it down, see that? How I cleared this up? I actually like that better. I took the blue out of there. I did not do anything to the image. I did not destroy it. It's looking good. So I'm going to keep this like this. Now I could snap on the red and check my reds, and I know my reds are going to fly up right here. There you go. I have red here, 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 but the animal, mostly all the red is focused here. Some in the water, the shine. So I'm going to bring this back down to 0, zero it out. And then if I feel that it's got a little bit too much red, I could drop the slider and give it minus. But I want to keep the red tone around this creature's eye because this is awesome. So I'm not going to do anything here, but you have the sliders. This is all colors. You have the individual colors, and you can work with the sliders. Lots of things that you could do with this program, but I fine-tune my images with Affinity and I get them pinned in with the Nikon software. Excuse me. I don't need this layer, so I'll get rid of it. Now, there's nothing pretty much else that I want to do to this image except maybe crop it, and just for fun I can go to the where is it? I can go to the curves right here, and in my curve adjustment I can play around with it to see which way what I can do to get this image looking better or worse, and seeing, you know, what I can do with it. And this is how I refine my images. That's a little bit too much. That's pretty good right there. Brought up the green here, brought up the green around here. The animal's still looking good. I could keep that. And this is this is what I had before, and this is what I got now. So this image is looking good. I like it. There's pretty much nothing else that I can do to it. I can blow out. Look at this detail in the water. Clean, sharp, nice, smooth. Blurred background, blurred tail. Focus in this area. Nice, good eye. This is a nice image. I like it. I can crop it. I don't know if I could or not. I mean, if I should, but to crop this image, I really, it's like, you know, no. I mean, cropping this image, I would probably crop it there. So I want to keep the vines in. I love all this here. I love all this here, but let's crop it. A lot of people like to crop images. Sometimes I don't crop images because I don't feel that there's a need to. I think they're beautiful just as good as they are, but if I were to put this image on canvas, on frame, I wouldn't crop it. And of course I would adjust the DPI on it before I sent it over here. But I'm just processing this image. So right now, I like this image the way it is. I like it. It looks nice. And that's my finished product. I don't really want to do anything else to it. I could play around with it, but as it is, I like this animal. It's colorful. You might think it's got a little bit too much red in here, but I don't. I like it this way. What you do is you go to document, you flatten the document, flattens here, flatten document, document. You wait for the icon to come back up. It's there. Now pretty much I have everything set into this image. What I want to do to this image now is I want to go here, go inside, bring this slider up, and create a frame for it. So in FX over here, you open it up, you go to outline. If you have Affinity or Photo, you go inside, you move your slider here to control your frame. The slider takes you by default to 100. If I wanted to change this to 300, I could. It all depends. I don't like those big frames, but you could. You can do that. What you could do is you could do a, say, 500 frame. That's what you got. And then you could save this and do another frame and do another frame and do another frame and have different colorful frames. I don't feel like doing that right now. Really, I don't. But you can do that. You get the idea. So I like small frames like this to give them a border. And then I'll choose my color, which I always choose a color from the animal, from the image itself, and I like this color right here. Snap there, and you have that color. And that's what it looks like. I could choose to see which one looks better. I could choose this water, the green water here. No, I don't want something as loud as this. Something neutral would be nice. I think I'll go back to this one right here. And this looks good to me. This is my own personal image. If I were to put this on canvas or something or sell it, I would adjust this if someone asked me to, but I like it just the way it is. You know, your color palette here, so long as you're live and you're clicked in, you have full control of the array of colors in the palette here. So, you know, I use Affinity Photo to fine-tune all my images. I could bring the slider up or down now. I like this small frame right here. If you have right here contour, and you have gradient, which you can mix and blend the color in. So I'm going to keep it solid now. Linear, solid, and then you know, to your liking, to my liking, I overlook the image. I like this image. I like the green. I can bump up this green, but this green looks good. The animal looks good. It's a good looking animal. This is an Egyptian goose. This is an Egyptian goose. So you can come over here. You flatten your document again, in case you want to go back and do something. Then you come over here to your Egyptian goose. Egyptian goose. And two there, you know. Egyptian goose, and give it a white color. Do spell check. I guess I spelled it wrong. Yeah, it's an Egyptian goose. Okay. You know I was forgetting a letter. So, the spell check does work. I just didn't recognize it. That's fine. So, it's an Egyptian goose. It's really nice. You have full control of your letters here. Bring down the opacity 43%. Yeah. And that's how I finish my photos. That's how I start my raw files in Capture NXD, which I think is the best. I think it's better than NX Studio. If you haven't tried it, try it. If you haven't tried it, try it. Maybe you'll see the differences. I see the difference. And NX Studio does have a lot of things that I'd like to have in Capture NXD. But that would be up to Nikon, and I would call them and ask them to put some of these features into Capture, like this is information. This is information on the right here, information on the image. I would like to see that in Capture NXD. It gives you a brief window on Nikon D500, VR200, 500 lens is what I use. 500 mil, auto ISO 1250, and this is 1 in 1250 of a second at 5 f5.6. So it gives you this, which I would like to see this here. This is in the right here, but I would like to see it somewhere up in the screen and be able to save it on the screen at the same time. I have all this information here, but I would like to see it in a pop-up screen. I would like Nikon to work on this raw developer, which is awesome. I love it, and I'd rather use Capture NXD over NX Studio. This is really nice, but I find that this one is just a bit better, and you have everything here, and I think it's a little bit more forgiving in your settings here. And then from there, I send it to Affinity Photo. Now, what I was talking about earlier in saving this image, is you have the ability to save this image, TIFF, GIF, PNG, PSD, PDF, SVG, VMW, EPS, EXR, HDR, TGA. So a lot more flexibility here, as you can see, to save this image in any one of these formats, as opposed to you're only able to save this image in three formats: 2, 1, 16, the other 8, TIFF and JPEG. A lot, you know, a lot more forgiving if you're worried about not using this software because of this. Remember, you get this, and you get to, unless you have another software that gives you the same. I can save this as a TIFF, as a GIF. I never saved anything as a GIF, but I could do it. It's a JPEG, and all I do is import, export, and it goes to my folder here. I resave over the image that where's my image here? Oh. Right here. And there's my image right here. There it is, Egyptian goose. And that's how I process my capture NXT photos with Capture NXT, my photos. Oh, by the way, this is the same image as here. Somewhere here. Well, I have that image somewhere in here. Yeah, there it is. This is the yes, this is the same image, and I actually did this image with the NXT. There it is right there. I actually did it with NXT because I wanted to see, and that's what I came up with. So I do use this software, but I find that Capture NXT is a lot better. I find it a lot more resourceful to use. They're both a little bit on the slow side, but they both give you the same features. They both give you the same ability. You can see the brightness here. I brought down the brightness here using our little tool right here. See? I use that tool. But you have the same tool in Capture NXT. Right here. So, this is how I do it. This is how it's done. This is how America wants it to be done. And I hope you like this video. It's just my way of developing Nikon RAW images. The softwares that I use. I won't get away from Affinity Photo. I always finish my photos with Affinity Photo. And this is my end results. And let's look at how that image looks on the desktop. This is what I have. I was out. I have access to the Everglades. I have access to large parks here with great, large, beautiful animals. So let's look at what this image looks like on my desktop. Is that the Egyptian goose? No. This would be the Egyptian goose. Yes, there it is. So this is what it would look like. And it's not a bad looking animal at all. I really like it. I like all this green, the vines, everything. I love the colors. His feathers back here are actually blue. They're behind the vines, so you can't see them, but I have other pictures of this animal. And this is a beautiful animal. This is it. I can use this software. I rather use Capture NXD, which is also free, and I finish all my images with Affinity Photo. I hope you like this video. I'm sorry if it's too long. I apologize. To my bicycle followers, I'm going to be back soon on the bike. I'm going through some family issues right now. I'm getting back into my photography. I've never left my photography. It's one of my passions. And I do have a large library, but I've never put it out. I've never done videos on my outings and adventures in the Everglades. So anyway, thank you for watching. If you did watch it all the way to the end, I hope you learned something. Ask me any questions you want. I'll answer them for you the best as possible. Nikon Software is available for free at the Nikon website. If you have a Nikon camera, you should know about these. You should know about all these softwares: XNView, NXView, NX Studio, and Capture NXD. They're all free softwares for Nikon, and I recommend take your images first through these softwares: Capture NXD or NX Studio or NX View. Refine, chromatic aberration, diffringement, work with the tones, save it, and run it by another program, and finalize it, or finalize it. You can finalize it with this. No issues. Thank you for watching. Have a great day. Let me turn this off now. I think I had it hit here, and it stops recording.